deathmatch. Erase all hostiles. They can't know we exist.
Okay, so already we're at that standpoint. I can't believe it that it's come around this early, but then again, it does come around. It comes around early every year, where we sort of a few months into current day Call of Duty. So we had it last year with Advanced Warfare, where people were talking about Call of Duty 2015. What will it be? Is it going to be futuristic or not? And as we know now, as we're in, it's the 1st of March today, that it is futuristic. So a lot of the speculation that people had then, where if you remember rightly last year, it was like, no, I think it's going to be a World at War 2 this year. I think that's what they're going to do. How wrong we were. So going on to this one, there's obviously speculation, but there's also information flying about, as I had tweeted to me by one of my subs, and he says, what do you think about this? And obviously the title was Infinity Ward Call of Duty 2016 Call of Duty Ghosts /2. And he followed it with a caption of, get ready for the breaking of the controller epoch, or something like that. Which if I remember rightly, that my take on Call of Duty Ghosts wasn't as bad as a lot of other people's take on Call of Duty Ghosts. And it certainly wasn't as bad as my take on other Call of Duties. There was obviously very raging things in there for me that I just hated about Ghosts. But like I said many times before, it's a shame because Call of Duty Ghosts could have been an amazing game. It had all the ingredients to make something superb. It's like my favourite cake is carrot cake. I love carrot cake. Can you imagine having all those ingredients for a carrot cake? You could make the best carrot cake in the world, and you give it to some professional baker and say, make me a carrot cake, and he comes back with this other kind of hybrid cake and go, I've actually done this. It's a take on carrot cake, and it tastes absolutely fucking putrid. So it was all there, everything for Call of Duty Ghosts it could have been spectacular. And there was things about it that I did really love, but obviously there was things about it that just left such a bad taste in my mouth, and not the carrot cake that I required. Such as the camping, the really bad maps, the hit detection I loved. I'm going to show you a little bit of footage here. I'm going to go on more about the speculation and everything, but I'm going to show you this little bit of footage here. This was actually taken last night, where one of my subs messaged me and he said, do you mind if I jump in the game with you? And let me just clear something up. Any subscribers who have me on a friends list on the PlayStation 4, if ever you see me playing, don't ask if you need to jump in my game, because it's not up to me. I can't stop you jumping in a game with me, and I certainly don't have a problem with it. I'm happy to play with anybody and just say, hey, if I'm not mic'd up, which I generally am not, just say, hey, I'm one of your subs, how you doing? And I'll know who you are and I can say hello. But this guy was like, do you mind if I jump in? I said, no, come all, join in. Let's have some fun or frustration. We'll see where this goes. And it ended up being frustration, because as you can see here, I'm using the Shiva. I have quick draw, I have grip, and I have high caliber, which means I should get that headshot multiplier. And instead I start spraying at two guys in panic, because I know they're both out there, and there's a sentry gun. And I just get a ream of hit markers. It's the fucking Shiva. It's supposed to be a 2-hit kill to the chest upwards or whatever. And I don't know how many I put in each of them, but there was like 6, 7, 8 shots fired, and I just got destroyed. So, not very happy about that, but that's where Call of Duty Ghosts would have been different. It wouldn't have been the case. I probably would have took both of them down, and maybe somebody behind them as well, who tried to come in and step in on the action, rolling in for the carve up. Come on then, Apocalypse, let's have ya! I'll fucking do ya! And then I shot him down, and his friends. So, Call of Duty Ghosts had a lot of fantastic things going for it, but for me it was the Riley thing that was mostly the problem, and the camping, and the maps, and the IEDs, and things like that, and the crap kill streaks and stuff. But as far as rage-inducing goes, I could see where they were going with it. I could see their their interpretation of what they wanted the next Call of Duty to be. And the thing with Infinity Ward is that I do like Infinity Ward games. I would choose an Infinity Ward game over a tryout game any day of the week. I've absolutely loved all of Infinity Ward games, apart from Call of Duty Ghosts, and with the exception of Modern Warfare 3 to a certain degree. But all I would really like to say about it is that they've had 3 years to develop this now, and you would like to think, I'm not saying they do, but you would like to think somewhere there's a respective amount of them would say, right, where did we go wrong with this game? The maps were wrong. The thermal, the thermal. I forgot to mention the thermal in my list of beefs with Call of Duty Ghosts. The thermal was a fucking problem for me. The thermal, thermal M27. You'd like to think they've maybe learnt 1 or 2 lessons and gone back to the drawing board, and if they do come out with Call of Duty Ghosts /2, then it could be something phenomenal. But I will honestly say this, and this is just my take on this, I could be completely wrong. I think, and I hope I'm wrong, I think it's going to be a futuristic game again, because Sledgehammer started the trend off. You know, Sledgehammer have had a go, they bought Advanced Warfare. It was fucking shit as far as I'm concerned, but, you know, I don't stand alone in that theory, but there's also a lot of people who loved Advanced Warfare, and, you know, obviously Treyarch have said, no, you don't make a futuristic game like that. This is a futuristic game. This is the future. This is what you should have done, Sledgehammer. And given us specialist abilities and, you know, just put their take on the game. And that may pave the way for Infinity Ward to come in and say, right, okay, step back, amateurs, this is our go. This is how we do a futuristic game. This is Infinity Ward we're talking about here. Obviously not the old Infinity Ward, because we sacked them all. And they're all propping some late night bar up, drinking their sorrows away, and sleeping with anybody they possibly can get their hands on. No, they're not picky. But the new Infinity Ward, they might be trying to make a statement, you know, they might be trying to get their feet under the table and say, this is how a futuristic game should play. We've learned from your mistakes, Sledgehammer, we've learned from your mistakes, Baldy, now it's our turn to do things. And on that note, I really hope they do not, because I've kind of had a guts full of the whole flying and wall running thing, you know, it's like, I will say this for Black Ops 3, obviously isn't as bad and as exaggerated as Advanced Warfare was, but for me the whole wall running, the whole purpose of that is only the intention to sort of manoeuvre around the maps better. The one thing I hate about it is it never seems to get me out of situations, you know? It's because the hitboxes for Treyarch are so stupidly big that it seems that whenever somebody starts shooting you, it doesn't matter if you slide, if you jump, if you boost, if you walk, you just can't get away from it because they've only got to aim somewhere in your region and you're dead anyway. So it doesn't add anything to the actual dynamics of the game. It's just more frustrating when you walk around a corner and you have awareness on and there's a guy running on the wall and you don't hear him through your awareness because apparently walking on the floor and running along a wall are two completely different things and it doesn't make noise, and he drops on your head and belts you around the back of your head without you knowing with a wrench. But what they could do, which wouldn't be so much of a bad thing, is that, you know, think about Call of Duty Ghosts. It wasn't too advanced, you know, it wasn't too much in the future. There was a couple of slightly futuristic-y type things there, but, you know, a lot of the things they use, like the IEDs and stuff, they are genuine things that are being used today. So maybe Call of Duty Ghosts 2, if there is one, they will use, you know, they'll use a little bit of advancement. Like Black Ops 2. You had Black Ops, and then you had Black Ops 2 2025, and things were just a little bit more advanced, you know, AGRs, there's no such thing as an AGR as far as I know, so maybe it'll be just a little bit more in the future, but not as much, you know, hopefully boots on the ground. But, you know, I think as far as people saying that there's not really anywhere they can go with storylines, I think that's bullshit, because essentially Call of Duty Ghosts 2, if it is going to be called that, because we don't know if this is just a troll or not, but if it is Call of Duty Ghosts 2, who's to say that Captain Price's grandson hasn't, you know, hasn't taken over his granddad's fucking bloodlust and his total and utter SS hard bastard look on life, you know? Maybe he wanted a spy to be like his grandfather, and he's brought his friends in along for the ride as well, who just happens to be a relation to Soap. I don't know, you know, there's plenty of places they can go. It doesn't have to be based around those characters. It can be the, you know, the Descendants or something. So there are places they can go, but I honestly don't think it's going to be a classic old-fashioned World War shooter. I think there will possibly be a futuristic element to it, whether it will be as advanced as Advanced Warfare or whether it will be as, you know, overly advanced as Black Ops 3, which is obviously more advanced because you've got people who are robots and it's not all about the suits. Who's to say? But all I can say is I really hope it's not, you know. I am really craving some classic Call of Duty because at the minute Black Ops 3 is about the best I've got at the minute. Next to Battlefield 4, but, you know, it's Call of Duty. I want to play some Call of Duty, man, you know. I don't want to keep going back and playing classics. I just don't. I need something new and old. New mixed with the old. That's what I need. So yeah, let me know what are your thoughts about it. Are you bothered if it's Call of Duty Ghosts 2? Because essentially it is really a name. It's what's inside that counts. You know, there's an Indian fruit called lychees, which a friend at work said, hey, try one of these lychees, and it was showing it me. I thought, oh my god, that sounds disgusting. Sounds like a fucking hybrid insect that will suck my blood. And I in fact tasted it and it was lovely. So a name doesn't mean anything. It's all about the contents. Thanks for watching, guys. Apocalypse done.